Hello YouTubers, today we're going to do timing belts. Now, a couple problems with this video. One, it might be quite long and boring. I have to try and get a lot of information in without trying to make it boring, which is going to be difficult. Anyway, basically we'll have a quick look at the timing belt first. Now when I do a timing belt, I do a timing belt kit and I do a water pump. There is no point just putting the belt on. Absolutely pointless. So you get a full kit, and with this car happens to be two belts. You get the two new belts. So you see there's two belts. You get a couple of idlers, tensioner, and another tensioner. Obviously there's two belts, so you get two tensioners. Now these tensioners are straightforward, but we'll go through them a little bit later on. So that's basically what you get in the timing belt kit. If you just buy the belts, you'll just actually buy these. But the problem is, yeah, these could snap, but one of these could seize and still snap your belt. So you're as well off changing everything. You might as well. And when you're there also, you might as well change your water pump. There's your water pump. Now in this particular car, we're having a problem with the water pump. The water pump's making a noise. So, and the timing belt is very close to it, so we're just going to replace everything all in one. It just makes life a lot easier. So that's basically it. What we need to do first, now we get on the lift or jack it up, it doesn't really matter which. Take off the wheel, and then this is what we're left with here. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the camera up and I'm going to start stripping all this. What we basically need to do is just take the covers off the cars. Now there's one good thing to mention on certain cars. The bottom pulley, this one we're okay. A lot of French cars and a couple of Ford Focuses and stuff like that, the petrol ones, they don't have a keyway at the bottom. Now this is important. You take off the bottom pulley without a keyway, you have to physically lock your engine. There's a special locking tool that goes in the back and you have to actually physically lock your engine. Now it's best just to make sure to read up before you take off the bottom pulley in your car. If you take it off, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. This one isn't. We're okay with this one. Like there's only some cars, so be aware of that as well. Now, we've just started the engine because hopefully you can hear the noise of the water pump. It might not come through on camera, but you can just get. Not doing it now. There you go. There's slight, every so often, there. Now hopefully you can hear that. That's basically the problem we're having with the water pump. Like I said, the next thing to do, we need to strip off all this.
I am recording.
The more you take off, the easier it's going to be for yourself. Because these are tricky enough, so you want a lot of room. More room the better. So just take off as much as you can.
So what's that you're taking off there?
This is just the air intake. I need sockets. Do this way instead. So air intake, you're going to have a lot of parts on the floor after this. Now you can see a little bit better. Basically what we're trying to do, this cover comes off quite handy. The top cover is just a couple of clips. Screwdriver. Now, that's the top cover. And there's a bottom cover as well, but this is what we're basically getting to. You can see the two timing belts now. But obviously what's in our way also is the engine mount, which is this big thing here, and the power steering bottle. So we're going to take all that off. When you take off the engine mount, you support the engine with the jack, and then take off the bottom cover, and then we can basically see, the dog can see the rabbit. So let's get cracking. Just going to take off the power steering bottle. So like I said, the more you can take off, the handier it is for yourself. It just means it gives you a bit more room and makes it easier for yourself. And believe me, you want it easy for a job like this, because this is going to take a few hours. You know, don't be fooled and thinking you're going to do it in a few minutes, because you mess anything up here, new engine. So you want to be pretty careful. Now, this is where it becomes a slight problem, because what you want to do is, this is obviously in the way. So I'm going to crimp that pipe with a special crimp, and I'm going to disconnect it from there. So I'm going to crimp this pipe. This is what I'm using. It's just, as it crimps, it doesn't damage the pipe. It's all plastic. Just going to crimp that, and it just locks up. Just like that. Now disconnect it. Now you might lose a little bit of fluid. Don't worry about it too much, but you're trying to save as much as you can. Now, and keep that rested up. Now this end, you want to make sure this end firmly stays up so you can wedge it somewhere. Now, that's out of the way, and now, as you can see, we've got a lot more room here. So the next thing we want to do is we're going to take off the driver's wheel, and we're going to support the engine with the jack.
What's that?
I'm just pouring the power steering fluid into a little drum because it just keeps falling and going everywhere. So you pour it into a clean drum, you can reuse it. It's not a big deal. It just saves mess on the floor. Now we can leave that somewhere, can we? Maybe not. A bit more. Alright, just leave it there. Leave it there. That's the wheel off. Next thing we need to do is take off this cover. This cover here protects the fan belt from water and puddles and stuff. It's just two little clips. You can get something in here, just Hi, we've just lifted this up so you can see what we're doing. But as you can see, here's the fan belt, and here's the cover. This is the bottom time belt cover, and that bit of metal you can see at the top is the engine mount. So what we need to do now is take off the fan belt, which is very simple. 60mm socket, pull it back, and you can see the tensioner. Well, if I pull it the right way, it might help. You see the tensioner slack off. So I'll just do that. Look, you can see it's slack off. Take off the fan belt, release it, and now that's the fan belt taken off. Simple as that. Now what we need to do to get the bottom cover off, we need to take off the tensioner, the fan belt tensioner, which is that 16mm bolt there. So we'll take off that next. Now like I said, all cars are different. So this is a 1.4 Volkswagen Golf petrol. Now that's off, means we can get to the bolt there. There's a bolt here, and there's a bolt there, and there's a bolt there. Now, like I said, this is where you have to be careful. This car, we can take off this bottom pulley and we're fine. Some cars, you have to lock the engine, and it's normally locked in behind between the gearbox and the engine. Somewhere there's a pin there and it locks. Right, that's what normally you have to do. Now, a quick tip. A handy way of doing it with that sort of stuff is you can take off the starter motor, and you can see, if you take off the starter motor, you can see the flywheel. and you can actually mark the flywheel from the engine to the gearbox. The only problem with that is that will work, but because you haven't locked the engine, it's easily moved. So just be aware of it. This car, we can take it off without locking the engine. But like I said, you really want to be careful. I can't remember off the top of my head. I know it's a lot of French cars, Renaults and stuff like that. Some Focuses, petrol Focuses are the same. There's a few cars which are the same, so you have to be really careful. Anyway, we're gonna whip off that now. YouTubers, as you can see, again, this is not a normal nut. It's a 11-sided nut. I'll put a picture up here, and this is the special bolt as well. It's not special, but it's just got 11 sides on it. You can see the 11 sides, because if you don't, I'll show you what happens if you don't. Right, these are both 19 mils. That's got 6 edges, that's got 12. 90 mil, as you can see, doesn't even fit. 20 mil would be too loose. This is the 90 mil. So that's why it's important, because you don't want to fuck up that bolt. Of getting these off properly, unfortunately, is an air gun. You can't use a ratchet or anything like that on it because the engine spins. Now, I've seen people wedging something in their engine to lock their engine and then open up. You could cause an awful lot of damage. This shocks it off. So this is the best thing to use. That's off. Like I said, the air gun is the best thing to use. Now the only thing to be remember on this, see a little hole there, and there's a little nipple. Did I just say the word nipple? Whoa. That sticks out, and this has to go on. This has to locate with that nipple. So if it doesn't, it's going to be off to one side. So see that? It locks in. So that's important to put it back on, is to make sure that little nipple is located there. So simple as that. Now we can actually take off the bottom cover. Now there's just a couple of 10 mil bolts. So we just need to whip off them. One. Two. Now there should be a third one up there, but it's missing, so not to worry. Should be just there, but it's not there. Now there's one more clip on the far side. I don't know if you can see that. There's a little clip. So if you undo that clip. Now, this is the bottom cover. Oh, there's two clips on it. Now, so now this is the bottom cover. See the top bolts, 2 bolts, 3 bolts, and then 2 clips, and that's all it is. Now we can start seeing the timing belt now. So we can see the bottom of the timing belt, the bottom crank. This is the tensioner. That's the water pump, and that's an idler. So we can start seeing everything now, and obviously the top bits, which we can see on the top. So really the next thing we need to do now, the way I like to do it, is I'm going to line up all the marks to how they should be. I'm going to mark everything with tippex, because believe me, tippex is going to be your best mate today. And then put special locking tools in to lock stuff, and then remove the belt. Simple, right? Hello YouTubers, classroom today. Right, hold on, I just need some glasses. I think glasses will just make it look a lot better. Fucking hell, you're blind. Right, I'm on the end of my nose. No, actually, change my mind. Right, this is the best way I can explain it. Hopefully this is going to come across. This is the timing belt setup on this particular car, 1.4 Golf. That's 1.4 Golf. Right, now there's two belts on this. This is your bottom crank, that's your water pump, and these are your two top pulleys. That's a tensioner and that's a tensioner, and these are two idlers. Now this mark here, there's a little mark on the bottom crank and on the engine, and these two marks have to line up. That's your bottom mark. And there's two holes here which line up your two top cranks. And the little machine you need for that, this little gadget here. This is a little gadget to lock the two top cams. Again, I'll show you that a bit more. So basically, this is how the timing belt looks. So goes through that way, blah blah blah, around there, and the top belt actually goes in behind that, and this other belt goes on top. But again, I'll show you. So that, unfortunately, that's the best way I can explain it, and hopefully that makes a bit more sense. Now, once we go down into the actual timing belt, this might start making a lot more sense. But that is essentially the timing belt on this particular car. Now, what you can do for other cars, sometimes you do need special tools, locking tools and stuff. To be fair, on some of them you can get away with drill bits and stuff like that. Now this is a belter kit. This is a super kit. This does most cars. It's all completely. Again, it won't make too much sense, but if you've got a twin cam engine, that will lock the two twin cams at the top. And again, it locks all sort of cars. That locks a single cam. So it's a great little thing. Again, this is expensive, but if you're doing a lot of timing belts, it's well worth it. You know, because like I said, timing belts are hard enough as they are. You don't want things moving because you're going to destroy your engine very quickly. So anyway, the only real tool we need today. This is the most important tool you'll ever use when you're doing a timing belt, ordinary tippex. And what I like to do, I like to line the marks up properly, and then with the tippex, wherever you can go, I mark the bottom pulley. Now I'm only doing it on the bottom, sometimes you might be able to get on the side. So you mark on the pulley and you mark on the engine, depending on where the easiest bit to go. Again, even though I've marked the top, I still like to do it. Even when I put this little gadget in to hold them, I'll still mark the two top pulleys at the end. That's just my personal way of doing it. That's what I think is best and the easiest, because what you can do sometimes when you put the timing belt on, it can slip. Now if you know you've lined it up with the original marks, you can just take the timing belt back off, line it back up with the original marks and go for it. You know, it doesn't cause any damage there. So let's crack on with it. Let's get into the old bowels of the engine. Now the next thing we need to do is support the engine with the jack, and I'm supporting the corner of the sump. That's the strongest part of it. Just like that. Now I'm just taking the strain, that's all I'm doing, because that's it. Now we've got to take. Now we've supported the engine with the jack. Now we've got to take off the engine mount, and it's best personally to actually physically remove this mount and to remove that mount. Some people just take off this, but this is still in your way, so I just like to remove everything. There's two bolts. The two main bolts hold these two mounts on together. Then there's another 3 bolts. I'll show you another 3 bolts, and that will come off. A couple of bolts, and that will come off. And then you can really see absolutely everything. Do 18mm bolts first. I'm just using an air gun to make it easier for myself. Now, that's the engine literally separated from the mount now, so we just need to take a few more bits off. So that's 2 18mm. Then, and that looks like a 14, so 14mm. Am I right? 15mm. Ew. 16mm. Two 16 mils. This one's a bit fiddly to get to. And then there's a 10 mil, which just holds that bottle in. Again, this can be a bit hard to get to. Oh, it's actually a 13 mil, sorry. Spanner on that. So, 13 mil. Oh. Now this should be out now. It might take a little bit of a wobble, but it's all come out. Now a handy tip is the bolts you've taken out, just slot back in, just so you know where they go. They won't get kicked on the floor or anything like that. So I've just literally put all the bolts back in, like that. You can put this to one side on the floor. Now you can't really mess up. Now we need to take off the actual mount here. So again, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, might be 5. There's 4 or 5 bolts on this. We need to take off now. Now just remove this clip cover here because it's in the way of us getting there. Remove that. Now 1, 2, 3, 4. Possibly 5, I can't remember. It's definitely 4 anyway. 16 mil. Now same thing again, put the bolts back. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture and then you can pause it if you need to see what it looks like.
Yep.
Right, as you can see, your bottom crank, your water pump, your tiny belt tensioner, an idler. This under here is the tensioner for the first belt, and then they're the 2 top crank pulleys. Right, this is going to be part 1 because of I don't want to make the video too long and too boring. This is going to be part 1. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Like I said, you know, it is going to be tricky to try and do this. You can see what I'm doing. You have to be careful on certain cars to make sure the bottom keyway and stuff like that. And yeah, look, it is simple, don't get me wrong, it is easy to do, but you have to be careful because you make the wrong mistake, you're going to damage your engine. So always measure twice, put once. Right, so this will be part 1. Join us for part 2. Don't forget, get your hands dirty.